What did you think was normal about your body until someone pointed out that it wasn't? I thought I was bad at running because my throat would seize up and get painful whenever I ran for more than a minute. I mentioned this to my doctor when I was 30. Turns out I have asthma. Apparently most people don't have much in the way of toe dexterity. I am monk down there. I get itchy as soon as I get overheated. Like an all-over body itch. There's no rash that pops up. I just get very, very itchy. I once took part in a study as a paid participant. The doctors used ultrasound probes to examine the blood vessels on my face. They commented on how strange my face's blood vessels were. They struggled and puzzled a little while examining my face. Then they handed me more cash and asked whether I would be willing to donate my body after I died to a medical study. They were polite and respectful throughout the whole process. Just seemed excited? They didn't tell me what's wrong. So I DK either. And my face looks perfectly normal. At least from the outside. I was blowing up balloons with someone once and silently judging them for not being able to do it in a single breath. Turns out I'm the freak who just has mental lung capacity for some reason. Thought I had great vision until I tried glasses and found that everything was so much sharper and more vivid. Apparently my left eye has a vision defect, but my right eye learned to compensate. So I never realized. Nobody told me this. I ended up learning this on my own in my early 20s. I have a third nipple. I always thought it was a mole on my ribcage, and I actually used to like it and kinda thought it was cute. As soon as I discovered the truth, I immediately started to dislike it. And it's funny, but it actually does make me feel exposed when I'm wearing a bra or bikini and one of my nipples is showing. Lol. The petit mal seizures I can remember as far back as 6 years old. It wasn't until I was 10 and had a grand mal seizure that I really understood. I should have said something before then, but I was embarrassed. Cataplexy. I lose the ability to hold things, chew, sometimes even stand when laughing. Basically, my muscles shit the bed whenever I start laughing too hard. Me, my sister, and my dad have it. My sister has even dropped her children because of it. Don't worry, more of a gradual release than a full-blown drop, and no one was hurt. I grew up thinking it was entirely normal. And my mind was blown when I found out it was not. I asked the next 10 people I saw, friends, co-workers, drug dealer, if they got weak while they were laughing, and they looked at me like I was crazy. My tongue has a bunch of cracks and craters in it and is not smooth. That your brain never stopping is not normal. It's actually a sign of hyperactivity. The first time I took meds and I only thought of one thing at a time. Overwhelming. That I had 8 wisdom teeth grow into the extra space in the back of my jaw, 2 for each side, top and bottom, that all grew in just fine after 20. Only to find out on my last trip to the dentist that I have 8 more growing in sideways. The normal amount of wisdom teeth is 4, not 16. The amount my eyebrows move when I talk and I'm nervous. I knew I always had a stuffy nose, but didn't think much about it. Got onto medicine that finally helped, and my nose cleared up a bit and I could smell a little better in high school. Didn't realize how bad it had affected my sense of smell until college. Though, I had a chemistry lab where we had to determine the scent of some liquids. It's been too long for me to remember what they were. I couldn't smell anything until I breathed through my mouth. I was suddenly able to figure out each one. That's still how I smell things. If I'm sorta tuned out or focusing on something and I hear a sound behind me or to one side, I can literally feel my ears attempt to turn toward the sound like many animals do, such as cats. My ears don't actually move around, but there's some automated reflex that tries to do it. I mentioned it to my wife in an innocent statement that began with, "You know how you can feel your ears try to move to pinpoint a sudden sound? And she looked at me as if I have 6 eyes. I haven't found anyone else since then who knows what the hell I'm talking about. My ball sack. Then when I started having sex, all the women pointed out how long and saggy my ball sack is. Then I started noticing other guys' balls and I was like, all these guys have such little ball sacks. A lot of guys have balls that aren't even longer than their penis. The beans are shorter than the frank. Whereas my beans are like 3x as long as my frank and I don't have a small frank. So I guess I have long saggy balls. Like an old man. I've had old man balls since I was a teenager. I'll probably start tripping over them when I hit my 80s. I thought feeling your heart beating was normal, even in a sedentary state. Turns out, I had a heart murmur patent ductus arteriosus and didn't find out until I was 30. All those years of multiple doctors listening to my heart and finally a doctor detected it. After I had the procedure to close it, I told my dad I feel great. I don't feel my heart beating in my chest. He was shocked I lived like that for so long. I thought it meant I was alive and well. Cold sweat smile. I have bad ankles. I once asked my mom if bad ankles run in our family. She told me that nothing runs in our family. I asked her because of the bad ankles? I have a big head. I've never once found a hat that fit. Not even a toque. When I lean on my elbows, my shoulder blades stick pretty far out behind me. Hard to explain, I guess. But multiple people have pointed it out as weird. Also, I can crack my wrists the same way most people can crack their knuckles. It's very satisfying and like 5 times as loud. My labia is long on both sides. I vividly remember going to the pediatrician and having my doctor say, I've never seen anything like this. I was 12. Now I know it's normal. But I spent my entire preteen and teen years horrified that there was something wrong with me. That any guy seeing it would think I was weird or gross. I am not kidding. I lived in fear that I was the only female in the world who had a longer labia. Thanks, pediatrician. It wasn't until I went to my first OBGYN appointment where I was crying asking about it that I was told this is very normal. My tongue has patches of white and pink. A dental hygienist pointed it out to me and called it a geographic tongue. All the freckling. Ellipsis. In places most people don't have freckles. Pain in your stomach and esophagus when you're hungry. Apparently that's acid reflux, not hunger. I got like tiny nipples even for a dude. Like dime-sized. Never thought about it till high school when I was changing and one of the seniors pointed it out. Apples aren't spicy. If I move my tongue a certain way I can spit from underneath it like a lizard. Dermatographia. I have really sensitive skin with an overactive histamine response. When I'm gently scratched with a blunt object, I get a hive in the shape of the scratch. I can write my name in hives on my forearm. I'm very buoyant. I have a hard time sinking to the bottom of a pool at all no matter how hard I try. And float completely with almost no effort for very long lengths of time. Aphantasia, or the absence of a mind's eye. When I found out that people can picture stuff in their head I was amazed. I was also 45. When I was doing my physical to join the Navy, the doctor told me I have high arches. They've never bothered me. Also, now that I know to look, it does look like everyone else has flat feet in comparison. I thought my toes were normal until someone said they're freakishly long.